What's going on, guys? It's John here, Apple, playing Shangri-La for the first time, I think, since 2011 or 2012. I never played this map. It scared me for some reason because it seemed hard and I couldn't get my bearings. But today, I don't want to talk about politics, but in the spirit of Thanksgiving and Christmas, in the spirit of hanging out with family, I wanted to talk about political people. We all know them. We all love to not sit next to them at family dinner. We all have the inexplicably left wing uncle who drives like a lifted Bronco. We have the college cousin who has got the septum piercing and basically everything they say is wrong. And we have the MAGA Auntie who's always fighting with the inexplicably leftist uncle. There's something about these people that I don't understand. It's something that, to my knowledge, it's a problem that only exists in the political center of people's brains, where they just get dug in. Like, I'm going to say it a lot this video. I don't get it. I don't get how people can be so hard-headed. Younger people are like this too, so I can't blame it on being like a boomerism, because I know a bunch of, like I said, septum piercing type people that have the same problem and they're my age. But this weird, like, blind assuredness that they have is crazy. And like, I kind of wish I had that about things. There's no conceivable way they could be wrong about anything. And this is kind of an unfocused video, but I guess I'll go through the archetypes. And this is based on real people I know and love. It's just something that I got to vent about because it's so crazy to me. Because I can't imagine thinking this way. That's the thing. I'm sure I do. I'm sure I have blind spots. We all have blind spots. But let's go into the boomer uncle. Let's go into the leftist uncle. That's archetype number one. This is like an amalgam of like 4 people I know personally. Like I said, love them to death. But they have this weird self-loathing that's crazy. It's like some kind of bizarre, bitter chip on their shoulder. But paradoxically, they're always like listening to Bruce Springsteen and trying to relate to younger people. They like send you stuff they think you'll like, which is cool. I'm so happy to interact with my elders. That's not a problem. But you start talking to them, and when it turns out that this kind of youthfulness that they do, this trying to be relevant to the young hip age because, they grew up with the hippies, when it becomes apparent to them that young people, that Zoomers like me are not like them, they're so ready to explain why young people are wrong. But before you get to that point, they're like, what's up, my fellow young kids? What's up, my fellow black pill swallowers? I'm one of you. And then you start talking Zoomer politics to them because they make you. You don't even want to talk politics, and now you're just incorrect. And they're going to explain to you why they know the woes and the what's the word? The grievances of Gen Z and the millennials better than you do. It's crazy. And the mental gymnastics that they pull. Now, everyone pulls mental gymnastics. This is not unique to the inexplicably leftist uncle. But the mental gymnastics they pull are crazy. I was talking to one of my older... I know him through work, and him and my dad are always arguing. My dad's very, like, classic Republican, and he's very Bruce Springsteen, drive a 4x4. I'm basically still one of the young people. And I was talking to this inexplicably leftist boomer, and that's an ugly down. I shouldn't have died right there. But anyways, I digress. I'm talking to him, and I'm telling him, I'm like, I don't think I'm not talking directly about political issues with them, just about the way you think about politics. And I was like, well, it's funny that, because this is a work call, I was like, it's funny that politics to so many people, to you and me, and basically everyone we know, is like a tertiary interest, right? Like most of us, I don't know people in government. I don't know senators, state senators. I don't know Congress people. I don't know mayors. I don't know lobbyists. Like politics is like we all have our occupation, and then we have our hobbies, and then we have politics. But for some reason, this is what I was telling my friend, for some reason, when we sit down, when we're at a work event, we breeze right past our occupational similarities, our hobbies, which is what we pour kind of our heart and soul into in our free time. It's what we genuinely love, our hobbies. We skip those things, the thing we have in common and the thing we like, and then for some reason we jump straight into trans rights or Ukraine. Like, what mental illness makes you sit down at a table with your peers and that's the first thing you talk about? Why would you not ask about, like, oh, you like to golf, or oh, you like woodworking? What have you made? Like, there are so many things that are nearer and dearer to our hearts, at least they should be, in my humble opinion, that we could talk about and share and bond over. But for some reason, we jump into the most divisive thing that we know the least about. And he just couldn't hear it. He couldn't hear that argument. Mind you, this my friend has never been in government. He's never held office. He's never, to my knowledge, I don't think he's ever worked a campaign. But he told me, he's like, no, actually, I gotta stop you there. This is what he's telling me now. He said, I had a brother who worked, he worked in with the state congressman, and I have a poli-sci degree. And I was like, oh, that's such a Reddit answer, bro. Ah, geez, bro. Because, like, I'm an amateur violinist. Personally, me, actually. I'm an amateur violinist. I have spent more hours playing violin than most people ever will in their lifetime. I own more violins than most professional violinists, which doesn't make you any better, it turns out. It's just kind of an addiction. I was like, telling my buddy, bro, I would never claim that I am a professional violinist or anything approaching that after hundreds of hours of playing. And you got like one poli-sci degree and you have an in-law or something that worked with a state congressperson, and you think that is somehow like a qualifying, that gives you qualitative authority on geopolitics. It's crazy. It's so funny because they're so hard-headed and like they can't admit, like, okay, I could be wrong about some things and I actually don't know a lot about what I'm talking about. Like, it's okay, bro. You don't have to know a lot about the topic because it's not our job. So I had to get that off my chest. That's the inexplicably leftist uncle archetype. I guess we could talk about the MAGA Auntie now. MAGA Auntie is just always misinterpreting scripture. It's wild. And I don't fight any of these people about this in person, really, right? I never go on I never argue on a policy, because it's like, imagine you have a stick, that game where like one person grabs a stick and then the other person grabs on top of your hand, and you just keep going up, because you never get, it's circular. You never get to the bottom of an issue. People can't. I've never seen anyone change their mind, so it's like, why talk about it? But the MAGA Auntie is crazy. It's just like, it's the same thing, but it's just the right-wing version of, like, yay, Israel. It said in Genesis that we gotta support Israel and send them money. I just don't, like, for this particular thing, I'm not going to consult the New Testament. And, anything, if you start rubbing against that worldview, that pro-Israel evangelical kind of worldview, it's like you slapped him in the face. And it's crazy to have for me personally, like I'm sure I'll get it maybe when I'm 58, but right now when I'm 27, it's crazy to me that people can live so vicariously through another country, and then just there's the whole trust the plan, that whole meme where whenever as of recording this, Trump is president. Whenever he just lies about something, when he just like, actually, I'm not going to do this thing. I promise. It's just they're fully on board. Like the schizo nature, the QAnon nature of like, no, it'll work. It's 5D chess. That's a whole type of person. I think we kind of know about them. The articles they share are crazy. They're the most Facebook active of the political family members. They're always sharing those clickbait articles where it's like, photo of Trump stuns audiences where they notice one small detail and it has the little red circle. And it's like, like a stain of food on his tie. The good news about this family member, though, as opposed to the inexplicably leftist uncle, usually the MAGA auntie is pretty easygoing. Like, there's not as much self-loathing, and they're not really trying to be down with the youth, there's something about the inexplicably leftist uncle that's like antithetical to nature. It's like I said, it's this Bruce Springsteen, like, if you can't tell, I don't like Bruce Springsteen very much. I don't like the vibe, that fake American football, like, yeah, like we all got convertible Camaros when we were young, and now we're gonna tell you not to, drive a gas guzzler. We love America, woo. Just this, I hate it. I hate that whole vibe. And the inexplicably leftist uncle that likes Bruce Springsteen is usually not as fun to be around. They have more bitterness in them than the MAGA auntie. The MAGA auntie, like, God, please do not talk policy with the MAGA auntie. Don't talk about Gaza with them. Don't question why every single one of our politicians has kissed a wall and can't tell you if they like America or we'll say Brazil more. You can't mention that to them. But if you just stay off that topic, they're usually pretty easygoing. Lastly, there's not much to say about this because all of my cousins, frankly, are like 40. I was the youngest for a very long time. The septum piercing cousin. There's not much to say about that. They can be. It's possible at times they can be more Facebook active than the MAGA auntie. It's possible. I've seen it. These are usually kind of like in the gender bended crowd. There's usually something wrong with them, neurologically or psychologically. And I'm not even just saying this. I'll give you an example. So there's this one guy. I don't even know how I met him. I thought he was a classmate, so I accepted his friend request on Facebook. And not a homophobe here, but this guy is flamboyantly gay and political, like in South Texas. It's like, and then he's always wondering, he's like, I hate it here. No one wants to be my friend. It's like, well, dude, what did you think was going to happen? It's only flamboyantly gay political takes. And he's wondering why, like, local truck drivers don't want to hang out, go get a beer. But anyways, I digress. This guy, he's, like I said, rabidly political, flamboyantly gay. And he had this weird moment of clarity on Facebook the other day that I thought was super telling and is probably like 90% of these people. He was talking about how he actually has, like, a shrunken part of his brain. I don't remember what it was. I wish I could remember the actual part of the brain that was, like, underdeveloped. But he had this moment of clarity where he's like, I think my suicidal tendencies, I gotta bleep that word out. I think those tendencies and my rabid politicalness and my high anxiety may be because I have this actual physical deficiency in my brain. And that was the most, like, that was the most self-aware thing I've ever heard in my life. And I think that's like 90% of our septum piercing cousins. And I don't think it's their fault. I think it's microplastics and, you know, all kinds of environmental factors. But I'll talk more on that later. I die right here. I'm running out of video. So maybe I'll throw in some Halo. I don't know. Maybe I'll throw in some Halo at the end here. But I just don't get it. You know, these people, I try to understand. Normally when I'm talking to them, I'm just listening. Because that's really all you can do. Like I said, talking about the actual, whatever geopolitical subject they want to thrust upon you while you're trying to eat turkey, it yields no result because they're, in their mind, they're like religiously right. And I just think the moral of this story is we should probably connect with our friends and family more on the level of shared interest and, you know, each other's unique hobbies and whatnot. Like, what do we have in common? I don't know why the first thing we go to when we sit down with our family who we haven't seen in like a year is the most divisive things. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments why they think that is like the first impulse of people at the family gathering. But I think we should probably like not do that because I've seen people like cut each other off. I've had like my buddy who had the poli-sci degree. He's like 3 times my age. He's a work friend. But he's had to step away from the lunch table because he values our friendship too much. And you just can't hear what people at the table are saying. And it's like it's like takes that your grandma at church would have. They're not like super offensive. I think maybe we should not if we know that's how we react to things, maybe we shouldn't make that the first thing we talk about with people. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm known to be wrong sometimes. So let me know in the comments. I just had to get this off my chest. I could have probably gone into more detail about the septum piercing cousin. I don't want to seem insensitive. I love everybody, and I don't really have any problem with these people fundamentally. It's just I find this particular aspect of their personalities interesting and worthy of a 18-minute video on YouTube. So take care. See you in the next one. If I offended you, I'm sorry. I love you. And I hope you'll be back to drop in your case, maybe a dislike on the next video. So thank you and take care. Bye-bye.